Disclaimer. This story explores mature emotional themes and may not be suitable for all viewers. While it does not contain explicit material, viewer discretion is advised. All characters depicted are adults. Do you ever have one of those friends who just gets you? Like, not in a dramatic soulmate type way, at least not at first, but in the small ways that matter. She laughs when you're sarcastic, remembers your coffee order, and texts back in the middle of the night without asking why you're still up. That kind of friend, that was Layla for me. We met through mutual friends at a party I didn't even want to go to. I was standing near the kitchen, sipping flat soda and trying to look busy on my phone when she walked up and said, "Is that your? Save me from this terrible night face." I remember glancing up, expecting some dude with a cheesy pickup line, but it was her. Hoodie, black jeans, and messy hair that looked like she hadn't tried and yet somehow looked like she had it all together. She had this presence that made the air shift. Like suddenly I was supposed to be paying attention. We started talking, then texting, then hanging out. It was easy, no pressure. It's just two girls who clicked. She had this la friel open, like she wasn't afraid of being loud. I liked that. Liked her. But I wasn't really letting myself go there. Not seriously. I'd been burned before. One too many almosts that turned into nothing. One too many girls who didn't want to be seen with me in daylight, so I kept things light. We were just friends. I told myself that so many times it started to sound like the truth. Until that night. It was a Friday. Same routine. She came over, we ordered Thai, and we watched some dumb horror movie we'd already seen. I was half watching, half scrolling, and she was sitting right next to me, close enough that her knee brushed mine. Neither of us moved. Neither of us said anything. Then she leaned over. Not in a dramatic, movie scene kind of way. Just barely. Just enough to ask, "Why do you always flinch when I touch you?" I didn't even know I did. I felt my stomach flip. My heart starting to pound in my ears. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to play dumb, but my voice cracked. I looked over at her and she wasn't laughing. She was looking at me. Really looking. "I'm not trying to mess with you," she said. I don't want to be another person who makes you feel small." That hit harder than I expected. I couldn't even answer. I just stared at her and everything in me felt like it was leaning toward her, toward the truth, toward something I wasn't ready to name yet. Her hand was still near mine, fingers just barely brushing. I could have pulled away. I didn't. Then my phone buzzed loud, abrupt, pulling both of us out of the moment. I looked down. 'Twas my ex. Again, I glanced back at Layla. Her face had changed. Less open now, a little guarded. "You should get that," she said quietly. I didn't move. I just looked at her and said, "No, I shouldn't." She didn't smile, not exactly. But she didn't pull away either. And in that pause, before either of us said what we were both thinking, I realized something. This wasn't just hanging out anymore. And maybe it never was. Layla didn't bring it up the next day. And I didn't either. We texted like usual, dumb memes, half-hearted jokes about that terrible horror movie. But under it all, something had shifted. The space between us wasn't empty anymore. It was thick with things left unsaid. We'd known each other for almost a year. She knew things about me no one else did. How I hate birthday parties. How I always triple-check the locks before bed. How my mom stopped talking to me after I came out. I knew her sister lived in another country, that she hadn't spoken to her dad since college. And that she had a scar on her knee from falling off her bike when she was 10 and never let it heal properly because she refused to miss recess. But knowing someone doesn't mean you see them. Not completely. I think that night on the couch was the first time we both let ourselves look a little closer. The thing is, I'd been through this before. The almosts, the confusing moments that turned into, I didn't mean it like that. The girls who kissed me in secret and acted like I didn't exist in public. And Layla, she wasn't like them. Scared me more than anything. A week went by. She still came over, still watched bad movies with me, still stayed late, still sat too close. But now there was something in her eyes when I caught her looking, something warm, something careful. Friday night again, same couch, same Thai food. This time I sat closer. She noticed, feeling bold tonight, she teased, nudging my leg with hers. I shrugged. Maybe I'm just tired of pretending this is normal. That made her pause. She turned to me slowly. What do you mean? I looked down at my hands, unsure of what I was even saying until the words were already coming out. I mean, I'm not just hanging out with you. I haven't been for a while. I'm not sure if you've noticed. I have, she said instantly. No hesitation. Just that I finally looked up and there it was again, that softness. But also something else. Guilt? Then why haven't you said anything? I asked. She hesitated. Because I wasn't sure if you meant it. Or if you were just scared to be alone. That stung. Not because she was wrong, but because maybe, on some level, she wasn't. I wanted to be mad, but I couldn't. I just sat there, letting the silence stretch. Finally, she said, I've liked you since the second time we hung out. When you made me coffee and forgot the sugar but pretended it was on purpose. I laughed, surprised. That was definitely not on purpose. I know, she smiled, but you tried so hard to act like it was. We sat like that for a while, quiet, honest, nervous. Then she said you still haven't told me why you flinch. I stared at her, because I didn't think someone like you would actually stay. She looked at me like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Instead, she reached for my hand. Okay. And I let her. Take it. The phone didn't buzz this time. No interruptions. Just the weight of her hand in mine, and the realization that we were both standing on the edge of something real. Neither of us jumped. Not yet. After that night, things weren't simple. Anymore, we didn't talk about what happened. Not directly. But we texted more and called more. And the silence between us. It wasn't awkward now. It was loaded. Every time she reached for my hand, it lingered. Every time I looked at her too long, she didn't look away. But then life got loud again. My ex-Jess started showing up in ways that felt more deliberate than accidental. A coincidental run-in at my usual grocery store. A DM I didn't answer, followed by a comment on my story, one of me and Layla, half visible in the background. Then came the message, didn't take you long, I didn't respond. I didn't tell her that, but it shook me anyway. Layla noticed. She always noticed. You okay? She asked one night as we sat on the balcony of her apartment. The city stretched around us, dark and flickering. I nodded too quickly. You're lying, she said, not unkindly. I sighed. Jess has been ... around. It's not a big deal. Layla frowned. She still thinks she has a say in your life. You don't have to wait for permission to move on. I know, I said. But the truth was, Jess had messed with my head. She'd been my first real girlfriend, and for a while I thought that meant forever. Then came the cheating, the gaslighting. The subtle way she made me feel like I was too much and still not enough. Layla didn't push. She just offered me the space to speak. And that made it harder, somehow, but things didn't slow down. I started getting anonymous messages, nothing threatening, but weird, cryptic, like someone wanted me to feel watched. At first, I brushed it off. But then one of them said, she'll leave like the rest. That one stuck. I showed Layla. She stared at my phone, her jaw tight. You think it's Jess? Maybe? Or someone she talks to? I don't know. You should block her. I already have. I think she's using a burner or something. Layla didn't say anything. For a second, then she asked, do you want me to back off? That question gutted me. No, I said too fast. God, no. Stop. I'm scared of messing this up. You're not. But what if I already have? She took a breath. Then tell me now, because I'm not playing games with you. I've done that before. I've been the secret, the experiment, the phase. I like you too much for that. When I realized what was really on the line, not just my heart, but hers too. And this time, it wasn't about being scared of someone leaving. It was about being scared of being seen completely and not being enough. The next day, my tires were slashed. No note, no warning, just for flats and a gut-deep certainty. This wasn't random. I called Layla. I expected her to tell me to call the cops, maybe offer a ride. But what she said was, I'm coming over. You shouldn't be alone tonight. And she didn't just say it. She meant it. Showed up with takeout, wine, and the kind of calm that made me feel like I wasn't crazy. And as we sat on the floor of my apartment, legs crossed, our shoulders touching, I realized something. It wasn't about who was trying to get in the way anymore. It was about whether we were ready to stop letting them. There's something disorienting about feeling safe and unsafe at the same time. Layla stayed the night. She didn't ask if she could. She just showed up with an overnight bag like it was the most natural thing in the world. We didn't talk much. We didn't kiss. We just lay on the couch, tangled under a blanket, both of us. Pretending we weren't listening for noises outside, I didn't sleep. By morning, the air felt heavier, like even the sun wasn't sure if it wanted to come up. Are you sure you don't want to file a report? She asked as I stared at my car through the window, tires still flat, like a dead animal no one wanted to touch. I can't prove anything. No cameras, no witnesses. I don't even have Jess's number. Anymore, she's messing with your life, Layla said, sharper than usual. You don't need a smoking gun to take that seriously. I turned to her and she looked furious but scared too. That scared me more than anything. It's not just her, I said quietly. It's me. It's what I let happen. Should have shut it down. Harder. I should have seen this coming. No, Layla snapped. You don't get to blame yourself for someone else's obsession. It's the way she said it. Obsession made my stomach twist. A knock at the door made both of us jump. We froze. My heart was in my throat. Layla moved first, pulling me behind her as she looked through the peephole. It's your neighbor, she whispered. The older guy? I opened the door. Mr. Ellis from down the hall looked uncomfortable. He handed me an envelope. This was taped to your door. Thought it looked off. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No return address, no name. She'll leave too. They always do. Especially once she sees who you really are. My chest caved in on itself. I felt suddenly very small, like I'd been dropped into cold water. I didn't realize I was shaking until Layla took the note from me and crumpled it in her fist. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. I knew the look in her eyes. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was scared for me. That night, I stayed at her place. We didn't talk much on the way there. I think we were both processing it in our own way. For me, it felt like a line had been crossed. Not just by whoever left the note, but by fate, by the universe. By whatever force kept trying to convince me that happiness wasn't something I could actually hold on to. But the worst moment came later. I was brushing my teeth when I saw it, scrawled in black marker on Layla's bathroom mirror. You're ruining her. I dropped the toothbrush. Layla came running when she heard it hit the sink. What happened? She asked, but she saw the mirror before. I could speak. Her face went white. Neither of us said anything. Not right away. The silence between us, once warm, now felt suffocating. She reached out, her hand brushing mine, tentative. We need to leave. You can't go back there. Not right now, and you. I whispered. What about you? I'm not leaving you, she said. Her voice steady, but her eyes full of fear. Not ever. I wanted to believe her, but the writing was literally on the wall. And now someone had made it clear. This wasn't just about me anymore. The mirror was cleaned, but I still saw the message. Every time I looked at my reflection, we stayed at Layla's for a few days. I didn't go to work. I turned off location sharing. I kept the curtains closed, and through all of it, Layla didn't leave my side, not once. She cooked, cracked small jokes, and even tried to teach me chess. One night, just to distract me. I could tell she was getting tired. It's not of me, but of the fear, of the constant looking over our shoulders, of the helplessness. And then, just as the silence was starting to become routine, her phone lit up. She looked at it for half a second, then locked the screen. "You going to check that?" I asked. She hesitated. "It's nothing," she said. But something about the way she said it made my stomach twist. The next morning, I woke up alone. Her phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't want to look. I really didn't. But the message preview popped up, bold and undeniable. "You promised you'd end it by now." My heart dropped. I stared at the words until they blurred. I didn't touch her phone. I didn't need to. Everything I thought I knew cracked open. When Layla came out of the bathroom, towel around her neck, she froze the second she saw my face. "You left your phone out?" I said quietly. Her eyes flicked to the screen. Her whole body stiffened. I waited. Finally, she exhaled. "It's not what it looks like." "Then tell me what it is." She sat down across from me, suddenly looking 10 years older. "It's my ex," she said. "Not just mine. We were together for almost 3 years. She was ... manipulative, controlling. She didn't take the breakup well. She's the one sending the messages." Layla nodded slowly. "She never stopped watching me. I didn't want to tell you because I thought I could handle it. I thought it would stop. I tried to speak, but I couldn't find any words that made sense. That message, I finally said. She wants you to end this with me." "Yes." "And have you..." "No," she said, but she threatened to expose things. Personal things. "I didn't want you caught in the crossfire. My chest was tight, so you kept me in the dark. While someone vandalized my home, sabotaged my car, and got in your apartment." "She's never gotten in here before," Layla whispered. That was new. That didn't make me feel better. "I trusted you," I said, barely able to get the words out. "I know. I let myself believe I was safe with you." "You are," she insisted, her voice breaking. There was no pretending anymore. We sat in silence, not the comforting kind. This was the kind of silence that rattles. Layla looked at me like she was waiting for me to leave. I didn't. "I need to know everything," I said. "No more half-truths. No more shielding me." She nodded slowly. "Her name's Riley. We were together a long time. She was charming. She was also cruel. The next hour was a blur." We filed a police report, backing up everything. Texts, emails, photos. Of the mirror, the tires, the envelope. I reached out to a friend who worked in cyber investigations. We gave them Riley's old contact info, social media, anything Layla could remember. Then came the decision, stay and wait, or take control. Layla looked at me across her tiny kitchen, arms folded tightly across her chest. "I'm scared of what she'd do if we push," she admitted. I stepped closer. She already did everything she could to scare us. She lost. 'Cause we're still here, together. For the first time in days, she smiled, just barely. But it was real. We went back to my place that night. I wanted to reclaim it. My space. My peace. Layla helped me clean. We burned sage, even though neither of us was spiritual. It felt symbolic, like we were scrubbing her away. It was a photo of me and Layla taken from a distance. We were walking out of a bookstore weeks ago, laughing. It wasn't threatening at first glance until we saw what was scrawled on the back. "You'll thank me when it's over." My blood ran cold. But this time, Layla didn't cry. She didn't panic. She grabbed her phone, called the detective we'd just spoken with, and gave them every new detail. "This ends now," she said, her voice steady. And in that moment, I saw all of her, not the version she tried to protect me with. It's the real one. Brave, tired, fierce. I took her hand. We're not broken. Not because of her. Not because of any of this. She looked at me. Really looked. "We might still be scared," she whispered, "but we're not hiding anymore. We stayed up the whole night. Not because we were afraid, but because we were ready." By morning, the sun broke through the windows for the first time in days. It felt like something had shifted. It wasn't over, but it was the beginning of the end. And just before the scene faded, Layla's phone buzzed with one final message from a blocked number. "You'll see what I meant." Soon, the message stayed on Layla's phone screen for a long time. "You'll see what I meant soon." But this time, we weren't shaken. We were done being afraid. The detective we'd been working with had just gotten a warrant. Thanks to everything, we gave them photos, messages, the break-in evidence. They were able to trace the last burner number back to Riley's location. It turned out she'd been living 2 blocks from Layla for months. That same morning, she was picked up for harassment, stalking, and breaking a restraining order from a previous ex. Not just Layla. The moment the detective called to tell us she was in custody, Layla collapsed into my arms. Not from fear this time, but from release. From finally breathing again. We didn't cry. We didn't scream. We just stood there holding each other in the quiet, letting it sink in that the worst part was over. But healing wasn't instant. Layla started therapy again. I went with her to a few sessions, not as a partner at first, just as someone who cared. We talked. We unpacked everything. The fear, the guilt, the weight of silence. She started to laugh more, sleep better. And I realized something. I never needed her to be perfect. I just needed her to be honest. I moved back into my apartment once I felt safe again. But she didn't stop coming over. And eventually, she stayed more than she left. One night, as we sat on my couch eating cold Thai food, Layla said, "You know, I kept waiting for you to walk away." I looked at her. "I kept waiting for you to let me in." She smiled. "Looks like we're both still here. We weren't just back to normal. We were better, stronger, because we faced the dark parts together and didn't let them win." This story isn't just about love. It's about survival, about the difference between control and care, about knowing when someone's looking out for you and when they're trying to own you. Layla didn't save me. I didn't save her. We showed up for each other again and again until the noise quieted. She still has bad days. So do I. But now we face them side by side. And when people ask how we got